Anthony, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Good to see you again, John.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Even if it's a webcam, as long as it's a camera, I am always happy to see you through a lens. It's magical.
Uh, you're definitely the lens man.
I
Appreciate
appreciate I appreciate the lens man. I like that as a phrase. I should make a shirt about that, not just have the yeah absolutely's anymore. so Um, thanks for meeting me here, having a chat about our portrait session. I really appreciate that. Like to go over some stuff and just kind of fill some people in on the magic that we created. But before we get into that, first, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, who you are, who you serve, and why you do what you do.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, John. My name is Anthony Chaine. For the last 20 plus years, I've been a sales executive for several Fortune 500 company. I led multiple division. I was a revenue chief officer. I was VP, regional vice president, senior vice president with multiple companies. I'm also right now consultant. I'm an author and I'm a speaker. I'm part of the National Speaker Association. So primarily I do speak about sales and when we can get out of it, how we can potentially improve the state, whatever state the company is right now. And also part marketer as well. I think they go hand in hand. So that's in a nutshell, that's what I do currently.
So you do a lot of fancy stuff. Let me just long story short the whole thing. You do a lot of fancy things.
I like it. I like the abridgment.
Yes, yes. But coming with someone who has so much on his plate, there is an obvious need for you to get those various messages out there and to become visible to those you serve. And you obviously came to the point where you realized that one of the ways in which to do that is by creating an image content portfolio of branded lifestyle portraits that you can leverage in various ways. Now, what was the moment within your business where, at what point in your, why did you come to that point where you felt the need to invest in these portraits?
That's a really good question. I appreciate, by the way, the question. It's been a struggle for quite some time as an executive within this Fortune 500 company. I didn't feel like I have a major need to have a great image of myself as a professional, except having a good picture in LinkedIn.
Right.
However, things have dramatically changed since I want to become a speaker and author, obviously. I would create a lot of content. I need to deliver that content. I need to sell that content. Looking at myself currently, through the social media, I really don't have much of, not necessarily I do have content presence, but when you look at my images, I look like I took a picture just as a sales executive in my car with my iPhone with belt on top of my tie, and that tell you everything that you need to know. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, I reached a certain point in my career where I no longer cannot afford not to have professional image that reflect who I am for sure.
Now,
Um,
Mike, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say you cannot have a website promoting your product and services and yourself having a poor image of yourself as a sales exec or consultant. And I would say, if I just add, it might take you tons of effort, time, and money to get people, for example, to visit my website in order to view my content. However, if my picture do not reflect the professionalism that I'm trying to portray, I already lost that type of audience.
Yes, yes. So you essentially understand the need to marry your intellectual property, your expertise, all of the things, the value that you offer your audience. But in order for them to actually see and absorb and appreciate and follow through on all of that content, they first need to be drawn in by the images that you visually punctuate, that you use to visually punctuate those sentiments. And I'm glad you did, because there's a lot of executives out there that still are playing the game as if it were 1999 and you don't need images.
I tell you, I want to share with you a regret. The biggest regret that I have in my life, I could have immortalized some fabulous moment in my life. I would have paid right now any price to have this picture taken by a professional long ago, but I failed to do so. And that's one of my biggest regret right now.
Now, what is it about that that you regret exactly? Is it the fact that you could have had that opportunity? Now, actually, the question that I want to know is why didn't you do it back then?
I never really thought about it in depth and understand the value of professional taking your picture at the right moment, at the right time. Now looking back, there is some moments I cannot recreate, I cannot duplicate, no matter how I want to replicate them. So, for example, what I realized when during that scene that we spent together, I never know there is a professional pose, right? So this is something I learned from you, and I did actually have the experiencing it with you at that specific moment when you're telling me how to position myself, my body, how I need, for example, when I have to put my head down a little bit versus putting it up. These are professional aspects of the business, your business, that I don't know of. And the average American do not know of these things. So we assume you have a camera, you prep yourself, you put in a smile, and boom, you take a picture. That's not how it works.
No, in fact, we spent about an hour or so during a strategy call before you even got in front of the camera. Um, how did you feel about that time we spent? What was the value of actually going through the process of kind of unearthing some unique, interesting angles about who you are, who you serve, and why you do what you do?
I really enjoy spending time with you. Honestly, I learned tons from it. And I cannot overemphasize going forward, the importance of working with a professional that you trust, someone who understands what needs to be done, someone who make the right correction at the right moment. Um, I strongly believe and encourage every single person that have never experienced what we experienced together.
Hmm.
It's my life. It's something that need to be done not only once, not twice, but very often.
Yes.
Uh, and the reason behind it, we tend to grow a little bit older, wiser, smarter, right? We add more value to our audience, regardless of whatever audience we serve. And you cannot use a picture you took 15 years ago, 10 years, even 5 years ago, right? And try to portray that new image that you currently have, right? You need to create a bond. And the best way to create a bond is by through photography, honestly, and so that we can take people through the journey throughout your own life. People
Yeah.
want to see you growing with them as well.
Yes. Yes. So rapport was one of the important aspects of us. So we talked at a National Speakers Association chapter meeting first. We talked about this,
Yeah.
and then we set up a call that happened after that. What was it during that initial conversation in person and that call afterwards that made you think, all right, this crazy son of a bitch is the guy that I need to work with?
I tell you, I was honestly very surprised because through the initial consultation that we did have for quite some time, you really, first of all, I immediately felt I'm dealing with a real pro. That's very important for me. So you went step by step in a very structured manner. Here is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna accomplish it. Here is what you need to do. So you create a list of tasks for me that I need to prep myself, starting from the wardrobe, what to wear, what not to wear, what to bring with me, how many items do I need to bring with me. I never thought of these things. Honestly, I thought maybe I'm gonna wear one suit and
Oh
that's
God,
it.
can you imagine?
Right. So this is just like when you go to a doctor, right? You don't say to him, I don't feel good, and he prescribe, here, take this and you're fine, right? They
Hmm.
ask you tons of questions first. They get to know what is your ails, what is the problem. Then before they diagnose the issue, once you diagnose exactly the problem that you might have, Then they come up with a plan. And that's exactly, I felt the same process that you took me through. I mean, I went from somebody totally ignorant about photography to all of a sudden I can speak about it with some level of comfort. I'll tell you what I like also
Mm-hmm.
about my pictures after I seen the result of what you did. That was, by the way, magical. It really turbocharged my own confidence. Because professional photography, I look at myself in real life versus what you did with that work or that really art that you have created in a way, through the positioning, through the lighting, through all that stuff that you specialize on. And you make me look better than what I am in real life. Or at least I felt that way.
I'd like to think, well, I appreciate that, but I'd like to think that all I'm really doing is positioning you to put you in your best light. It's not like I didn't Photoshop those images. That's you. It's just a matter of simply finding the more flattering angles and what really, and the activities that you were doing. You know, we had you reading books, you're working on a laptop, you're on the phone, you're, you know, looking out a window, you're doing all these kind of lifestyle things. And when I think some people see themselves with these kinds of images, it's something that they've never seen before. So they automatically think, oh, wow, oh, you made me look amazing. It's like, no, I just had you stand over there in the corner. It's you. It's just you're not used to seeing yourself like that.
I agree. I strongly believe that when you work with a professional photographer, he has, like you had the ability to take a dull moment that I consider a dull moment and turn it into really a masterpiece, right?
What's a dull moment? Like reading a book or?
Yeah, yeah. Day-to-day activities, standard stuff that we do. But you took some normal, natural moment that we all experience throughout the day, and you turn it into magic, a masterpiece. Looking at this moment, I say, wow, this is incredible. And I strongly believe that the same moment, if it was taken through someone who is an amateur photographer, it will be completely a disaster. So that's the difference between working with a professional versus working with somebody who simply have a camera or simply state is so-called professional.
Right.
Professionalism comes through years of experience. It comes also through what I felt with you, that passion that you do have, that it's vivid in your approach and the way you talk to me. And it was tough for me sometimes not to laugh or smile because you always come up with this stuff that it cracked me up, honestly. But you were not after the smile, you were after a genuine moment that you're looking for after the smile. And
Yes.
that I appreciate. That really shows your genius in the topic.
Yeah, it's important to break that fourth wall down because you know that you're in front of the camera. You know that there's a light. You know that there's people around looking. But it's at that moment that it is critical that I help inspire you to get to a place where you're not thinking about that. You're in the present moment with me. We're having a conversation, and I'm happy to capture that conversation with a camera. And that's what creates those very unique and candid moments, especially now. Yes, we do shoot some smiles, but you are absolutely on the money. It's the stuff afterwards because it's when all of the muscles in your face are relaxed at that moment for at least a couple of shutter clicks. And those are money because it's you without a filter, basically. It's your
Yeah.
personality, aspects of your personality, aspects of who you are. And that's exactly what we're trying to achieve in these images so that people can get a sense of whether or not you're a likable person to them, like you will mesh personality wise and ultimately lead down a path of, is this someone that I want to work with?
Yeah. One more thing I just want to add. I felt throughout the interaction that we have together um, that you have the ability to see around the corner. What I meant with that, it's your ability to predict a move before it even happens, right? And that's what you're looking for, and that's what you're trying to catch. Um, and I think that your professionals come through your lens and the years you probably have spent doing this. And I really enjoy, by the way, working with you because there is that aura of trust and between me and you. And I knowing you also that you work with every single speaker out there in the National Speaker Association and working all around the world. So I really appreciate working with you. And as a matter of fact, when I come to Serendipity this morning, I spoke with the director here and she said, I saw your picture. You look fabulous. I say, it's not
Oh,
me, it's John. It's John D'Amato.
no, it's us. It's a
Okay.
team. I can't shoot you without you. Let's not forget about that.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that you came into the session with a certain level of expectations, and you knew what you needed. I knew what you needed, and we kind of, we had, and as you mentioned earlier, we hashed out that plan so that we could, in fact, be very tight and very precise and very on point. How important was that for you to have that kind of efficiency to the session?
I think it was critical. Knowing exactly what need to be done at the right time was absolutely something that I did get to know you, by the way, through that session that we have together. I think you were not only professional, but I love three attributes that you did have that I experienced throughout that session. First of all, is flexibility. So we have to create new package. You were on the fly. It didn't take you a second to come up with something that to help me. That's
Oh, are you talking about when we were shooting and then you're
That's
like, wow,
correct.
these are cool, and you're getting all these angles, and explain that actually first.
The situation where we have agreed on a package of 20, right? 20 pictures. And while you were taking pictures, you were taking actually a lot of pictures. We were already like over 100. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, there is some great moment that he's showing me. I really want to have them. But the next package is a little bit too out of my price point at that moment, right?
Yes.
I want something in between. And I really appreciate it when you come right in between and you create a package that you did not have in your website because you really want to work with me because you care about me, first of all. You were incredibly generous and you were looking long-term relationship.
Yes.
And these are all attributes that are very, very important for me as a business owner, as a sales exec. I'm also looking really to help you through word of mouth as much as I can. So wherever I'm gonna go, the first thing I'm gonna say, go to John, because I experienced a great moment with you, a great relationship with you, and I intended to say it to every single person that I know, because I know with confidence that they will benefit exactly the same way that I did, and they will, propel, your business as well, because you can always help one another.
Right, right. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's what this is about. When you work for yourself and you have a business and you have a brand and you're looking to get out there and you meet people, it's, when we say that we create these images, because we want to build relationships, we actually want to build relationships.
You do.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that as a business owner, you spend a lot of time by yourself. And when you work with people that charge you up, that light you up, that inspire that awesomeness out of you, you don't want to not work with them or not want to converse with them. And that's how I approach these sessions. I want to meet my clients where they are and make things work, because it's all about getting them out there so that you can spread, your particular gospel, whatever it is, whatever your expertise is. These images give you that unique opportunity to visually punctuate those amazing stories. Now, and I'm glad we went through it, and I look forward to the next round already, but I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with these images first. Now, before we created these images, what was the apprehension that you had? What was holding you back from getting these images? We talked about the whole ignorance thing and not truly understanding the value of it, but more personally, what was some of the things that were keeping you away from the camera?
I would say a big part of it is not knowing the real value of professional images taken by a professional. That's one.
Right, right.
So The second thing is always I didn't know how much it costs, right? And I didn't know if the value that I'm going to be getting justify the money that I'm going to be spending, right? But I now, as a strong believer, I will say go as high as you can to anyone out there. Do not go for cheap, because obviously the outcome will be exactly that. So you really want to go for the best package you can afford, because it's an investment in your business, in your brand as a human being, as a professional, that will last for decades, right? Oftentimes we take photography maybe professionally done once a decade. Some people didn't take it for a lifetime.
Yeah,
Imagine you live 50 years and you never spend money. You buy TV, you buy computer, you buy all kind of stuff, even stupid things we do spend money on. But never think really to spending on our brand. And all you have is your brand name, is how you look, how you present to yourself, be it on a website, be it LinkedIn, be it on Instagram or Twitter, whatever that is. You have to have few images that really depict how you want to look to your audience. And that's very, very important. Whether you are an author, whether you are a salesman, or just somebody who has his own little boutique in the corner, it does not matter. Investing in oneself professionally, especially in imagery, I think is just something no one can afford not to do.
absolutely. And speaking of that value that you get with these images, how do you plan to leverage these photos that you now have?
I want to share with you something. I spoke
Sure.
with my website designer, and the
Hmm.
first thing I did, I sent him pictures that you sent me. And he looked at them and he immediately gave back. He say, Anthony, these are brilliant. Who's the guy who took the
Oh,
like? He say, wow, these are phenomenal. So coming from a professional to build website for a living, I was very impressed. That's one thing. So that consolidate everything that we just spoke about, right?
yes.
I showed them to some of my colleagues. Everyone loved them. It took us 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that,
Yeah.
to go through the whole thing. And I can tell you, I cannot wait to redo it again, as I told you, in a couple of months from now on, because I feel like I really have wonderful moment in my life, and my body changed like everyone else. I want to capture the moment. I want to immortalize these images, and I want them to be done the right way. And for that, I cannot overemphasize that everyone at any stage of his or her life have really to take the time and spend the money and work with someone who knows what needs to be done. Whether you're a professional, whether you work in a corporate environment, whether you want to portray an image of seriousness or just want to look approachable, right? You cannot capture this moment through your iPhone. You really have to work with someone who knows what he's doing. At least do it once a life. And if somebody have the chance to live in New York or the surrounding, New York area, I cannot overemphasize um, obviously how good you are, John. I'm not just
I
saying it because you're good, but I'm saying it out of the result that I get by
I
work.
appreciate. And thank you for sharing that about the website designer. That's awesome. That's always nice to hear. Um, did you guys have a hash out the plan? I know that one of the major things that you needed these for immediately was for the website and for the LinkedIn and for the speaker stuff that you're going to be doing. And did you guys kind of find a solution with the images?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the website designer, his name is Robert Bowman. Um, and he's a fabulous guy. I worked with him for the last 3 years or so. Yeah. So part of the images, when I work with you initially, I told you that the website need to be depicted. Some of the picture need to be taken a little bit in the corner that we will have the ability to write some text, right?
Hmm.
So you did exactly that. And we have multiple pictures actually. We can add text to them easily. So as a matter of fact, at 1 p.m. today, we're having a conversation about the text that I already prepared and sent him.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through that. So as soon as my website is up and running, I'll definitely have you look at it and we'll take it from there.
Oh, I can't wait to look at it. That's awesome. It's like a Christmas gift when I see the images actually being used in real in the wild, you know, instead of them just being on a folder on a laptop. You actually see them being leveraged in the way in which we discussed. It's a very exciting thing. So I cannot wait to check that out. That's going to be awesome. Now, with respect to social media, did that get the wheels turning once you had the photos in front of your face? Are you starting to think more about that?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, as I told you a couple of months from now, maybe even earlier than that, you and I are going to spend another session, shooting about pictures that I need in social media. Because as you know, I write a lot of content, and I'm finishing my third book right now.
Yeah.
And part of obviously all that content need to be delivered to my audience, and obviously need to sell it too. Part of what I do, aside from speaking professionally and consulting with a lot of, I do primarily, just to let you know, a lot of consulting right now with payment and banking segment, and obviously imagery is critical in that work, right? So people, before they get to even say hello to you, they get to see, you read about you, see how you look, and then we started from that point. So I'm looking forward really to doing more pictures going forward, with your help, obviously. But I really,
Yeah. Yeah, because the next round we will do some idea nugget strategies so we can kind of unearth some of the formats, some of the content themes that you really want to focus on, and then we can really zone in on those objectives and produce the kind of images that will visually punctuate all of the sentiments of those particular stories that you're going to share. And that's very exciting. But first, I am excited to see the website. That I do.
yeah.
That's going to be
I
great.
want to add one thing,
Sure.
aside from your level of, being good at what you're doing, right? Taking moment and immortalizing them. I
Hmm.
also enjoy reading your blog. And the reason behind, because there is an intellect level behind. In other words, you are a student of the trade. And that's what I love about you, right? It's not just somebody who just grab the camera and go shoot out there. But you are somebody who do deep research. There's somebody who creates content and sharing, educate other. You're a student and a teacher at the same time. And that's what makes you a wonderful leader.
Oh, well, thank you. That is an awesome. I am, by the way, thank you for the compliment. And second, thank you for the idea nugget because I will be writing a post about that. Because God forbid I don't come up with a way to write content about it. Speaking of that for a second, did the blog, did my newsletter that comes to you 3 days a week, was that something that kind of, did you feel like you were building a relationship with me offline through that uh type of content?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact, because it reveals the human side of you that I wouldn't know by working with you just on one time or twice, right? Despite the fact that I get to see you in every single NSA opportunity.
Yes.
The website reveal how you think, um, how you feel, right? And allow us to connect. And from a standpoint of a reader, I really feel each time that I receive the material coming from you, that you hit a specific area that get you a little bit closer to me. So I feel like, even without assuming I never met you before, right?
Yeah.
Through your blog, I will get to know who you are, what you stand for, what do you believe, what is your philosophy in life, and all that stuff. What is the pain you go through? What challenge you go through in life? What kind of business solution do you help others, and so on. So I see you as someone who trying to aid others, and I see you as a servant of humanity. And for that, I thank you.
Well, thank you. That was one of the most lovely compliments that I was not expecting to receive at all. Thank you. Yeah, and it makes sense because what do we create? We create exactly the same type of we create the types of materials that create that same type of resonance for people to create that emotional connection. Talk a little bit about that emotion in the images that you have through the expressions and the lighting. how do you see them really accentuating all of the objectives that you have with these images?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I felt, for me before, I mean, throughout all my life, taking pictures with amateurs, or my wife taking picture or grabbing my own selfie, I never really paid. For me, a picture have to have, you gotta show your teeth, you gotta show you smiling. Never understood that actually a good picture sometimes is a picture where you don't smile. We're just serious, we're just being you in a moment where you're not supposed to take a picture. And that's where it lies through your lens, that you capture a moment that I would normally not think to take a picture of. And those moments turn out to be some of the best pictures that I have right now in my collection through whatever you have created with me. So yeah, there is some level of seriousness, there is some level of professionalism, there is happy moment, and there is just like thoughtful moment. Like when you took me, just my hand writing. It's something I do all day long, but I never thought someone would take a picture of just me writing or me reading, for example, right? So you extract out of me, some emotion that I can only feel looking at the picture, but if I can feel them, others can do the same. And that's really what I loved about these pictures.
Yeah, it gets that in-depth quality where even though, like I said earlier, you're in front of a camera, but yet at the same time, it still has that very natural, really organic to you feeling to it, so that that will translate to your audience, which ultimately creates that rapport, which ultimately gets them to follow you and gets them on the phone with you.
Yeah.
So it's a funnel,
It
basically.
is. It is.
We're creating funnels. Who knew, right?
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yes, yes, but it's the kind of funnel that I actually can do without losing my mind, because I'm not a funnel creator. I'm a nurturer. That's how I
That's wonderful.
connect with people, and and you are a classic example of it, because you've just talked about the blog and what it means to you, and that's exactly the intent of it. It's for people to actually understand me, and that's what those types of images of you are for them to understand you, because the way you hold your pen is not the same as everybody else. The way your outfit, what kind of jewelry you have, the expression on your face as you're writing, that's, you own that. That's you. And when you put those kinds of images out there, that's the kind of thing that draws people in. It gets them wondering, what's the story behind this image? Let me go read it. And then once you're in, you're locked in. And then once they're in that story, they're engrossed in it. And then when they get to the bottom where there's a call to action, they're much more inclined to follow through on that call to action, because they've invested that time in you, because you caught them in a way that connected with them emotionally, not just practically or logically. We need both sides of that coin in order to truly get the attention of those we serve.
Yeah.
With respect to the results from your session, how can you quantify those results based on what we achieved?
One word: priceless. I can tell you the result that I intend to have, because obviously it's through website and so on, I can see the value that will keep growing over time, right? So for me, it was an investment for decades to come, along with whatever going forward I'm gonna keep doing, because the power of imagery is incremental, right? So I strongly believe that I will get 100 times fold of that investment that we have initially, because it worth every single penny. Not only it does immortalize the moment that I want, but also it shows how I want to look professionally to the world. And that was just a wonderful thing. So In terms of financial value, I think it's extremely, anyone should do it because you cannot even afford not to do it at this point. And in terms of emotional value, I think it's even more important. That boost of confidence, feeling that you look great in your website, they reflect the image you want it to be portrayed. I think that's priceless.
And with respect to people who would say, well, I want to wait until I lose 20 pounds. Well, I've been working really long hours. I look tired. I need a month off before I even think about booking a session. What would you say to them to help them truly understand that what they're doing with that procrastination is actually harming their brand and their business?
It does, because I think physically we change every single day. You cannot wait, because what's going to happen is other priorities are going to take over. And before you know it, that priority that was today's priority will go back in the funnel. And you don't want it to be that way. When it comes to overweight, well, I do happen to have double chin, right? And I tend to be a little bit overweight myself at this point in my life, right? But when I look at the image, for someone magically, whatever magic you have used, and the technique that you have used, without photoshopping, because I know just the way how I need to position my face as you were instructing me, right? Like putting my head a little bit down. Most of the pictures do not reflect my double chin, right? And I didn't look heavy. I'm not heavy, but a little bit above my normal weight at this point.
Yeah.
I felt like the pictures come perfect, like I have a perfect body weight and a perfect figure across the board. And this is because of the way you instruct me and how I should position. So anyone that is waiting, went away to procrastinate a little bit more, I will tell them one thing: please don't. Get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah. Because, and even in some of the images where the double chin was a little bit noticeable, what I noticed is you weren't immediately like, oh, get that photo away from me, I hate it. It was, nope, that one's a little bit too much. But then other ones where it was still present, it's like, yeah, it's fine. I feel great about this image because it emotionally makes me feel confident, because the overall vibe of it is more powerful than my own anxiety or insecurity about the way that I look at that image. And then when you layer on the whole part about, you know, the moment that you start waiting and you kick the can down the block, you're going to continue to do that for months and months on end. And the next thing you know, it's going to be 3 years and you still haven't taken those images, and your business is missing out on that unique opportunity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the best thing is to be authentic and genuine with yourself. You can look good in any image when you work with someone who's like you. I'll tell you a quick story. I was interviewing someone for a VP position a while back, and he was from Korea. So in Korea, they put the picture into the resume. So when I look at it, you look fairly young and, you know, full hair and so on. But all of a sudden, when I did have finally to meet him, I find a gentleman that was totally bald, not because naturally he got bald. So the picture that he put in his resume was 30 years ago.
Wow.
So obviously, I felt like it was not really the right thing to do it. If he have his recent picture as he looked, it was fine with me. I did hire the guy, by the way, but just all I want to say is try to be actual and as honest as possible when it comes to your image. People want to see you as you are today, not how you looked 10 years ago.
Right, right. And on top of that, when it comes to the image, when it comes to the vanity of the image, there is always this interplay between the vanity of how you feel about the image and the value that it ultimately will provide your business. And it's a constant interplay for people. But for you, it's a no-brainer. And I wish everyone saw it in that way. But some people need a little bit more convincing, which is fine. And it's understandable, because when I was 300 pounds and people would walk to me with a camera, the last thing that I would literally run away. Because the last thing I would want to do is actually be in front of the camera and memorialize that moment that you spoke about before. Yeah, I was the complete antithesis of that. The last thing I wanted to do was have.
That's a wonderful story. I told you to write a book about it. You know, I know a lot of people who did so. You know, going from 300 to right now, the skinny you now. I mean, it's incredible. It's worth
Yeah,
definitely sharing.
yeah, you know, we're building this photography thing first, but maybe we'll figure something out with the motivational piece later on. So I guess the last thing that I would want to ask you is, with respect to other professionals that are not what you do, you know, not sales professionals, not speakers, what would you say is the biggest asset when you invest in branded lifestyle portraiture? Basically, why do they need it?
Right. I think regardless of one does in life to make a living or whatever position they are in their career, our social life, our digital life, right, become our real life today. You can no longer hide as in the past, and all of a sudden when drama happening in life, new major changes, like you lost your job, all of a sudden you're gonna try to dig up for, you know, and to create a brand for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There is a study actually by Harvard that was stating that by 2050, 40 to 50% of Americans will be freelancers.
Wow.
In other words, we all at one point gonna become our own brand, our own company, our own CEOs. You cannot wait till something happen that you're not too pleased with to make changes in your life. You gotta start right now. You build a brand, who you are, and share it with the world. But you also have to have the right imagery along the way to allow you to connect your professionalism, whatever you try to portray in terms of, you know, professional, with your audience or anyone that trying to connect with you and get to know you a little bit more. So
Yeah.
it's a must.
It's a must. Yes, wise words. And they ring very true for me, because at no point when I was working in television did I ever think that I'd be having a conversation about portrait photography with someone like you. But yet here we are. Shit happens.
Yeah, and I love it.
And on that note, my friend, I just want to thank you again for sharing your insights on this. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm really grateful for you. You're an awesome dude, and I really enjoy our conversations to and from the shoot in the car, and I really look forward to seeing what you do with these images and working together in the future.
Well, I can thank you again, John, for everything you have done and continue to do for me. I'm certainly looking forward not only to help you promote your business, and I'll tell you one thing, I will never promote someone's business unless I'm 100% sure they're really the best at what they do, and you are. The second thing I want to share with you is I really enjoy working with you, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work going forward. And I do everything where I can, you know, to send you business because you're a good guy and you deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.